Good evening, 6:30. Thank you everybody for coming out this evening to hear about the fire and EMS referendum on August 11th. The town board meeting will start immediately following this information session. So what are we asking the voters for here on August 11th? We're asking for the opportunity to increase and exceed the state levy limits in the years 27 through 2030 in the amount of $450,000 to pay our obligation to Lake Country Fire and Rescue to avoid really crunching the town budget. Because by 2030, the estimated commitment to LCFR is going to eat up 94% of our budget. So that's going to have us put everything else on the table that we're not required to do. I mean, the state mandates that we provide ambulance service, and the town of Delafield, along with our other 6 municipal partners, are owners of Lake Country Fire and Rescue. And if you go to the next slide, kind of go through the history of how we got here. The town of Delafield Fire Department goes all the way back to 1919. They celebrated their 100th anniversary in 2019. 2020, we all know what happened in 2020. And at that time, our current town of Delafield chief was retiring, and Chief Fenning came to us and said, hey, now might be a good opportunity for us to consolidate and join Lake Country Fire and Rescue. So in September of 2020, the town board at the time made the decision to consolidate with Lake Country Fire and Rescue. That occurred on January 1, 2021. Throughout 2021 and the early part of 2022, people joining the fire service, people volunteering, there were some line of duty deaths in the area, and people were saying, hey, it might not be worth it to risk my family's health to serve my community in this way. So the chief and the fire board of Lake Country Fire and Rescue decided that now was the time to look at creating a staffing plan. And the chief presented that staffing plan to the communities in 2022. And it was that time with the staffing plan that everybody kind of saw that the commitment to become a full-time staffed fire department was going to cost some dollars and cost some money. And that's really was the impetus behind the disagreements among the other municipalities within Lake Country Fire and Rescue about the funding and about the formula. So that's why we worked with the policy forum to study the funding formula and work on creating a new funding formula. And in June of this year, we signed a amended IMA with all 7 partner communities to update the cost structure and to commit to the staffing plan to ensure that the stations aren't browned out, so that when people call 911, the stations are ready to respond. I don't know if now would be a good time for the chief to come and kind of give his 2 cents.
Well, Mr. Chairman, and thank you everyone in the audience. Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak tonight. As Chairman Kranick kind of mentioned, and I'll turn a little bit this way too, because everyone here's here to not see the back of my bald head, but you know, this has kind of been the evolution of the fire service in the state of Wisconsin over the past really 10 to 15 years. I think a lot of people 15 years ago, the fire chiefs were told that you need to have a 10-year plan to be a career fire department because the paid-on-call volunteer model was failing in front of everyone's eyes. And they didn't really have a plan to do it. So the chiefs came together, or chief, you know, would come together at a certain agency and put the proverbial 10-year plan together, and this is how we're going to get there over X, Y, and Z. And a lot of the communities looked at it, and there's a huge cost to it. When you're using volunteers and you're using free labor, anytime you multiply anything times 0, it's painful. So the ability to have to go into it and look at what does the department really need in terms of staffing, what's not a wish list, but what is attainable and what does the department really need is what's the evolution that the communities, the LCFR partner communities, have gone through over the last 4 years. I can tell you that the board, the LCFR Fire Board in 2022 adopted in November, they adopted a staffing plan that is on our website if you go and look at our website. And there was a lot of talk at the board level about what's the responsible way to do this. It was to hire 22 people. And are we going to do that in one swing? And the vast answer to that was no, that's completely irresponsible. We need to do this over a period of time. So we've done it in phases, which that's why you saw in 2023 the town went to referendum, and that was to hire the first phase of the staffing plan. Mr. Kranick was on the board at the time, along with some other members. Magali was as well. Joe, you were just coming into it. But it was well known at that time that this is going to get us through a couple of years, and we're going to have to go back and go to referendum once the rest of the staffing plan gets kind of vetted and those final numbers are done. So it's kind of been the evolution of things. There's fire departments to the west of us that are going through the same thing. There's fire departments from, I say, Salem to Wapaka that are having this same discussion in town boardrooms, you know, in common council chambers about how are we going to fix this within the constraints that the Wisconsin legislature puts on everyone in terms of levy limits. I myself have spoken with every one of our state legislators about the need for this, what's going on with it, how do we get ahead of it and work together as a team, because this is coming down the road. And their exact answer to me every single time is you need to go to your communities, and your communities need to go to referendum. So that's kind of why we're here today, trying to educate people on the why and the need. Prior to LCFR coming into, or the town of Delafield coming into LCFR, they had not added any full-time headcount since 1982-ish.
We had 2 full-time employees.
Yes, so they had 2 full-time employees going into it. The concept was that those two full-time employees would help bridge the gap in paid-on-call staffing, which was during the day, because all of the paid-on-call members would go to work and work their 9-to-5 type jobs, and then at night they would be home. So those 2 individuals worked Monday through Friday at the Old Town Station on Maple Avenue, and then they moved here. But the concept of building the building here was that this was a regional location, and that regional location was going to need to house firefighters 24/7, 365. All of those things is what Lake Country Fire Rescue, January 1st of 2021, brought to the table. We had staffing plans in place, albeit it definitely overly relied on paid-on-call people, but we were trying to do it in the most cost-effective manner possible to get as much as we could out of the paid-on-call program, when I think everyone in the world knew that was going to sunset at a particular date. I don't know that anyone anticipated it was going to hit us in the face like it did post-COVID. To the chairman's point, there were 2 line of duty deaths with paid-on-call people that happened in the area. One happened in the village of North Prairie, where a gentleman contracted COVID on a call and died because of that. And then the other one was out in the town of Ixonia. So Ixonia had a young female that contracted COVID on a call, and she passed away because of COVID. So it made you second guess if you were doing this for the betterment of your community, and you were donating, you know, your training hours back and all the time and the on-call hours of, if I'm going to bring this home to my loved ones, and that time COVID was really unknown, right? Is it really worth it for the $18 an hour stipend that they got at the time? And then that's kind of what really fast forwarded this whole thing and kind of put it on the front burner. Working back and forth, again, 7 partner communities. It's been in the paper. There's been some disagreement, I think, between the partner communities about how to pay for it. You know, and that's been politics in motion.
But we're all in a good spot right now. So.
Yeah, we are in an amazing spot right now. And that's a credit to this town board and the other 6 partners that we work with, because they all came together. And obviously, if you watch politics across the state and across the country right now, they're definitely polarized at some point. So, did I hit the points that you were thinking? I'll talk forever, so just...
No, you hit the points. I think the other point that you should bring up is that we don't only get the strength of the station that we're sitting in, but the other strength of the other stations. like the city of Delafield station responds to the individuals off of Cushing Park, and I think the Wales station, you know, helps the south side of the town response too, so.
Correct, yeah, I mean, great point. I guess in really raw numbers, the staffing numbers, if you were to try to put 4 or 5 people in this building 24/7, 365, plus have the admin staff there to support them, such as a chief and an administrative assistant and somebody to help out with the EMS billings. The raw number on that is about $2.5 million plus 10% for the operational costs. So just the staffing salary alone is $2.5 million. When this is all said and done, you guys will be far short of that. And in addition to that, you're getting the response, you're really getting 12 people on day, 24/7, 365. That are responding to. Yesterday we had 2 structure fires that were lightning related in the town of Delafield. That got all 12 of those staff members to that scene to mitigate the hazard for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. When you're working in a 3-station type response, the way I kind of would describe it to people is that prior to the merger in 2021, we did mutual aid. And mutual aid is kind of like, if you want to call it your all-star team, right? You put together people from different departments and they all work together. But unless they're using that playbook every single day like they do now as a 3-station response, we're that much stronger. So the staff train together, they know each other, they are together every single day, and our shifts are, they work together basically once out of every 3 days. So they know each other, they know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and when you get to train like that all the time, the deck that we're bringing and the team that we're bringing to the hazard is far surpasses anything that was ever here before. So it's been amazing to be part of it, and that's thanks to the help of this body and the other 6 bodies that have really taken this, and they've put myself and our command staff through the absolute ringer, as they should have. They are trying to be the best stewards of your tax dollars that they can be in looking at this and making really data-driven decisions on the why and the need and response times and just different things like that is what has gotten us here to where we are today.
I think if you go to the next slide, it really, so what we're looking at here is that blue line on the top, that's the town's tax levy, constrained by state levy limits. That red line is our commitments to Lake Country Fire and Rescue to ensure that they get the staff that they need so they can continue responding to our community when we call 911. As you can see, that gap gets very tight in 2030, and like I said, it's going to be 94% of the town levy. So it doesn't leave a lot of room to fix roads or do a lot of other extra things. And the town is already run very lean. We have 1.5 individuals in the office, and we have 5 highway people. So, you know, there's not a lot of fat in the town budget. Anything to add, Joe, or you want to?
I mean, I agree. Right? I mean, we've been through this for years, and this is where we've landed. And you know, it's cost structures, cost increases across the board for everything and everybody is not. You know, the municipalities and the corporations that support them are not immune to impacts from inflation and cost adjustments, increases, and everything else. And when you look at really when we were talking about the referendum amount and quantity, you know, the cost structure on the median home in the town of Delafield, there we go, is a piece that I made, you know, and said, okay, well, what are we asking our residents here to change, right? What is this going to look like? One second. What is this going to look like when you open the bill in whenever the bills come, right? End of the year.
Thanksgiving, yeah.
And so we've got the median assessed home value. You're talking $121.46 difference. Average assessed home value, $142. For an example, $500,000 assessment, about $88. So when I look at what it is that we're getting and gaining and being able to offset on the differences that that did come to everybody and everything, right? If you go look at wages across the board are substantially different than they were in 2020. And I look at the difference that I pay for any other given service or thing that I go buy at the grocery store, at a gas station, or anywhere else, and I look at the median difference being somewhere in the $9 to $12 a month range, and I look at the value we get out of a fully staffed, full-time fire department with no brownouts. I would rather spend my money there than at the 1,000 other things that have had a price increase from in the past couple of years. So, that's what we can do, right? Like, this isn't something that I think anybody up here is interested in asking for more money in a flippant manner. It's a real space that is, as Chief Fenning has mentioned, is affecting communities across the state. So I don't know if we're taking questions
She
but
can ask a question.
if you want to come up
Can
to
you come to the microphone so everybody can hear us and the folks watching online can hear it too?
Hi, my name is Julie. So I have a few questions for this body and this body. So one of them is, the ask here is if it can go to the ballot, correct? Or the town to vote on $450,000?
It's on the ballot. It's on this ballot.
It'll be on the ballot
Yep.
already? Okay,
Yep.
good. The second question is, this amount that you guys are projecting for the homeowners, does it already account for the new subdivision?
So the increase in the levy that we're allowed to have is based on our net new construction. And I think there's a misconception that when a subdivision goes in, all of that tax revenue is going to come to the town, when in reality, we only get a fraction of what's paid. The majority of the taxes that come from this new development are going to go to the school districts. By the time we get to the town level, there's very minimal, and we're looking at probably about $20,000 more dollars than what we had
That
previous
comes
to
from
the
town.
subdivision. Yeah.
Okay, and
This
still,
was calculated by the state, too. So.
and still on this note, so how do you know that this amount is not going to be distributed between the school district, Waukesha County, and the other entities beyond the town of Delafield?
This is the amount that we, the town alone, are asking for. This would not go to a school. If a school district wanted their own referendum, they would put their own question on the ballot. All of the numbers that we got came from the Department of Revenue, and anything directly related to this will show up as a line item on your tax bill, and that amount will come straight to the town.
Straight to the town. Okay, I guess these were my questions, because I don't think anybody here disputes the importance of the work that, the fire department and the police does to all of us here. It was just like trying to understand a little more, making sure that this money, if approved, really goes where it should go. And another question is, Chief, your fire station supports all the 7 cities?
So,
Thank you for coming and asking good questions.
great question.
Appreciate it.
So we staff 3 fire stations. The one that's just above us. There's one at the city of Delafield, downtown Delafield, by Kurt Steakhouse, if you're familiar with that. The other one is on 600 South Wales Road, so that's in the village of Wales. So the ask here is that you're funding the contribution to LCFR that staffs the fire stations. So the other community, you're basically pooling your money and doing it in that manner to put staff in the fire stations. But this station will be fully staffed as part of this. That's the plan. Does that hopefully answer that?
Yes.
All right, great.
Could you go back to that slide? That one showed the increase. Okay, so what you're showing right there.
Can you come to the microphone so people
Yeah,
can?
that's a correct slide.
Microphone, sir? At home to be able to hear you. Thank you.
So you're going from 2027 to 2030. You're showing the increase from 1.5 to 2.3. But I just jotted those numbers down. that comes to about 800,000.
That's the town's commitment to Lake Country Fire and Rescue.
Right, that's 800,000,
4%
but
of
you're asking for, and I jotted it down over there, aren't you asking for 1.5?
So are you taking the 2.3 and subtracting 1.5?
1.35, but yet, showing that our increase is gonna be 800,000.
I think the math is not correct there.
Mine isn't?
Yeah. What
The referendum is
originally-
asking over 3 years for 450,000.
4 years, 4 budgets, 450,000 apiece. And when we ran it past the Department of Revenue saying we were going to potentially do 300, or sorry,
Well,
400.
then there would be even a
Well, hold on.
bigger discussion. Okay.
Yeah, I said to the Department of Revenue, we're looking at 425, and they said that will not cover what you need in this gap. So it's not just 2030 minus 2027. It's like every bump every year. So we wanted to make the increase on your taxes be fairly predictable and level. So we did 450 a year to kind of level this out. And the Department of Revenue indicated that 425 was not going to cover it.
Yeah, but did anybody look at those numbers and question the Department of Revenue?
I mean, we looked at it for over a week, so, and they are the ones that determine the language and our net new construction and our increase in levy.
But I still would question those numbers. I mean, if I guess like one of my other questions is like, we had a lawsuit just recently, right? There was a lawsuit against the city of Delafield for a closed meeting session.
Potentially, yeah.
Didn't that happen just in April?
That's
Nothing to do with this?
nothing to do with this.
But wasn't at that meeting, didn't they say that they wanted to pull out of Lake Country Fire and Rescue? I read that somewhere.
That was a potential last summer, but that's all been resolved. We all signed the IMA back in June. Everybody's, City of Delafield, we're all getting along, we're all good. And that's why we're going to referendum now to make sure that the staffing plan gets implemented.
So
for
is
all
that
seven
when you did the
communities.
new policy forum to come up with a new formula?
Yes.
Can we see that at all?
Well, the new formula is going to be based 100% on the variables. The variables being call volume, 60% call volume, 20% population, and 20% equalized value. So, you know, each community's ability to pay based on the value of their land, how many people live in their community, and then who's using the service.
Okay, and that's am I right when I say that that's a 3-year plan? Am I right when that's a 3-year assessment, that forum and that plan, that's 3 years?
No, 4.
The formula is ongoing.
But is it assessed yearly or every 3 years? At one point, the old formula that they used, wasn't it 3 years that they looked at it?
So it's a 3-year broken average.
Yeah.
Call volume, equalized value, and population.
So you change it every 3 years.
No, it changes every year.
Every year, the number changes.
So in 2026, 2020, every year it changes by a slight variable, but it's not locked in for 3 years.
Like ours went from 20%, what our share was essentially, to 25%.
That's over the course of the,
3 years since we did the last referendum.
that's because of the funding formula.
Yeah, so
Because like
that's-
the
that's
last referendum and with the thing on the phase, is I just have a question about, in regards to, when we did that last one, we were told that they wanted to hire 6 new employees, full-time employees, or 7, excuse me, 7 it was. And at that time, it was 3 years for 470,000, right? In 2023 of April that passed?
Yeah, that was, as the chief mentioned, that was for phase 1 of the staffing plan.
But
And
when
that
we did the
wasn't-
referendum at that time, and it came out, I can't remember in the referendum or anybody else saying that there was going to be a 3-phase.
That's been unknown.
And I'm
Yeah,
not saying
so-
that it wasn't, I'm just saying that it just didn't come out to light. I didn't see
When we
it,
went to
so.
referendum in '23, and the town board decided to go to referendum in '23, we had just come off everything that happened in the communities to the west of us. So the town board at the time knew that they wanted to go to referendum for a realistic number. They didn't want to go for the whole thing because they thought, or I thought, and that it was going to be a very tough sell if we had this really big number at the time to ask the voters to do that. And we knew also that we wouldn't be able to hire all those people as quickly as we had anticipated. So we decided as the town board to take a phased approach, to go for a realistic number, to go for half of the positions that the chief was requesting in his staffing plan, knowing that there were some friction amongst the other partner communities about how to pay for this and what the formula looked like. So we went for a phased approach, half of what the chief was asking for, knowing that at some point we would have to come back to the voters to get the rest of the positions. And that's what we're doing today and doing on August 11th, is asking for the rest.
So these 6 positions then will bring it up to how many full-time?
It'll be, the total full-time headcount is
43, when it's full-time. Like, and I just Googled it to see what the head count was now that it says for the fire department, and it said that there was, and when I say fire department, I'm referring to Lake Country Fire and Rescue. It said there was 30 full-time employees now.
I use Google.
And I'm just saying it, yeah, and that's why I'm asking you, what is it now?
Our full-time headcount right now, or give or take, if someone.
So, okay, so it's 34, so it's 4 more positions what they had listed. Then they list those positions as like, 6 executive committee positions. Command, they call them executive command, that's what it said. I mean, how do you list it? Because they had like 6 executive command positions, and then they had like 10 station staff positions.
Sir, I've been in the public sector for almost 30 years,
Right.
and I've learned in my time in the 30 years that products like this in the public very well.
Okay.
I'd be happy to set a meeting up with you. Guy is probably steering you in.
What they had in there was and it doesn't have to be exact numbers. I mean, I'm just asking for estimates, I'm not saying that this is it and that's it. They had these part-time positions too of like 47. Now, is that what you call volunteers?
So
Okay,
I don't like.
but how many, whatever it is.
I don't like.
Right.
I'd be happy to sit down with you. Not gonna do it on the fly,
Okay,
because it'll be wrong.
okay.
Well, if you go to the,
Well, how does the
Fire and
public
Rescue
find out about it?
Transparency,
That's a
I
good
mean-
question.
You go to the transparency. So this is great. Thank you for asking. Our website, we are probably the most transparent fire department in Wisconsin. Our communities pride transparency. Go to the transparency tab of our website, which I'll actually start at the homepage. Our homepage, across the top bar, you see transparency. So this has everything about LCFR, from our audits to our intermunicipal, with our firefighters unit to fire board minutes and commission minutes. So forth. If you scroll back up to the top, Michelle.
Staffing.
If you click on the staffing page. So this is a page that's been on our website for 4 years, and it's totally been dedicated to the problem that exists today. Everything from supporting documents across the state, to our first original plan, the modified plan, and so on and so forth. top down, bottom up, so the town of Delafield referendum information is on. There's another, Wisconsin taxpayer, the long-range staffing presentation this summer could help get you the information. Operational staffing plan. Time where we were trying to do this over the 3 years. And that
So like 2023, we had it, it went for 4 years. We have it this year, 2027. It ends in 2030, if I'm right. Then what do we do again? Are we doing 450 then again, or we go another 3
No,
or
by
4
by
years?
2030, the chief says that our staffing should be staffed out, and we would be restricted back to state levy limits once we get fully stamped and ramped up. And if you go back to that slide showing the kind of our levy and the project, I mean, the hope is that red line plateaus out again, so it looks more like 26, 27, and we're able to operate because we have the head count to run the fire department without brownouts and have the staff to respond. So a brownout happens when a fire station is closed. This station 31 was browned out a lot last year. In May of last year, this station was closed 50% of the time. So when you called 911, somebody was either coming from Wales or the city of Delafield station. If you go back and Google or look at Freeman, I was very passionate and very frustrated by that fact because this station was put in a place that was regionally dedicated to serve the residents of the town of Delafield. And if, somebody over on Glen Cove or somebody, down the road was having a problem, they weren't going to get there as quick as they should have because they were having to come from Wales or coming from the city of Delafield. And when you call 911, seconds and minutes matter. So it's really important to have that staff ready to go. And, people say, why'd you join Lake Country Fire and Rescue? Why'd you consolidate? Because there's, the numbers to stand alone your own fire station is a lot more than what we're asking for and what we're paying to Lake Country Fire and Rescue to have one station. And then, what we're paying to Lake Country Fire and Rescue, as we started off the conversation earlier, we get the power of 3 stations responding. So for those people that live over off of Lapham Peak Road in Cushing Park, they're getting the station closest to them. They're getting the city of Delafield station responding to them. If you live off of 18, in 83 there, you're getting the Wales station responding to you. So it just makes sense to.
That's the kind of like a question I have is, and Chief, this would be directed towards you, is the 3 stations that you asked for this in the referendum, that you say that staff, that they're being staffed 24/7, 365, Town of Delafield, City of Delafield, and Shaniqua. Wales, Genesee. So the Wales station right up on 83. Okay. Then they had the other one on Shaniqua, the one up off by Lake Country.
That's why, I just really, if you're using AI and Google to research this, caution you on it.
Yeah.
Call me, I am happy to walk you through it. I'll probably talk to you too long, so that's okay. But if you're using AI and you're using Google to
Yeah. So how long was Shaniqua, was that one ever stationed or?
The Shaniqua station is part of Lake Country Fire.
Right, but
It's
it
just not
does not.
It's not staffed.
And neither
It's
is the
not
Minnesota station.
So there's 4 employees, 24/7 at Wales, here, and at City of Delafield. And then does that change for now, like, say, for instance, like, there's been so much development along 18 right there, not far from Wales, as you go up on 18 by C, and now on C again, where they're building the new industrial things there, like by the quarries and the pits right there. How do you guys use those new buildings coming in with, full of employees, very dangerous work too? So, I mean, people would get hurt in that, I would think. How does that figure into the formula when you're using that? Do you tie that in?
Well, I mean, those kind of the equalized value of the communities.
Right, but does it matter how many employees and people are working out of those buildings?
Not necessarily employees, but if they have more calls, then that goes into the IMA formula.
That was one of the points of contention between myself and my friends over at the City of Delafield when we were negotiating this, because they were arguing that they have less population than the town of Delafield does, and that's why they should be paying less than the town of Delafield
Right.
should. But my argument was that population is your rooftops, people that live in your community, not the people that are there for the block party or people that work in that community. I would argue that there are probably less people during the day in the town of Delafield because of the population, because people go and work in other communities. So it's all been thought of, and it's all been, taken into account during those negotiations and the agreed formula.
Okay, so like, another question I have, is it all right to ask? I got another one, like, what, they used to do 24/48 off, right? Work 24 hours, 48 off. Now you've gone to 48/96. Just talk about that, I mean, why, and how does that affect things?
It has zero effect on your comp. When you do the math, our employees work 2,912. Whether or not they're working. Went to the 48/96 of work in these communities. Cost of living here is a little bit blocky, or in other places of in a Waukesha, right? So they're commuting from further out, so this saves them doing half of the drives. Costs you nothing.
What about like those part-time employees though? I mean, like, and they used to be volunteers, but they actually were paid when they went out too on calls, right?
Part-time employees I had 60 part-time.
Right, but I mean, how many, just like, they do get paid though, right?
They do get paid.
And the other ones work sometimes, or?
One shift a month, some may. That's the catalyst of why we're talking about this.
Thanks.
Can you come up to my desk?
Matt, you should maybe.
I apologize for being naive. If I were to call, let's say I was having an allergy attack or something, who shows up? Is it a paramedic? Is it a firefighter? Are you guys the same thing? Is it a police officer? Like, who's actually coming to my house?
Can you go to the microphone, Chief?
Call 911. It's all of the above, okay? You're gonna get, first you're gonna get firefighter paramedics that are coming out of the closest station to you. And if that closest station isn't, if they're out on another call or they're not there, you're gonna get the next closest station to you.
Firefighters, paramedics?
Correct,
the
we
same
cross-train,
thing.
all of our staff is
Okay.
cross-trained. For the minimum requirement for you to be a full-time employee in our organization is that you have to have your firefighter 1 certificate and you have to be an EMT paramedic. That's the value add. If you get in bigger communities, some of those communities just have firefighters that ride on the fire trucks, and they have paramedics and EMTs that ride on the ambulances. That's not the value add for the communities. The value add is for you to have cross-trained individuals that when it's an EMS call, they can help on the ambulance and do that type of thing. And when it's a fire call, they jump over on the fire engine and do that whole type of thing.
Okay, so
and
no
then-
matter what time of day I'm calling,
Correct. And that's probably something that often gets forgotten about during all of these conversations, is that when the town of Delafield joined Lake Country Fire Rescue, they were not paramedics. They were operating at an EMT intermediate level.
okay,
So you got that instant jump because LCFR was operating at the paramedics. We were one of the OG paramedics in the area. We did paramedic intercepts to 19 different communities at one point in time. Like LCFR and the city of Delafield back in the time raised the bar on emergency medical services in this area of the county when people thought we were crazy, and we did it for less money. So that's the value add.
okay. And then are you, the numbers of staffing, and I'm sorry if we said this, that correlate to the population? Or how do you
So-
determine that number?
So the goal is to have 4 people in each station 24/7, 365. The reason for those 4 people is that if a fire call comes in, what we do is we put 3 people on the fire engine. They go to the call together, and the ambulance, I call it chase, but the ambulance will follow the fire engine, okay? They get there, they marry up, they're a crew of 4, all right? The reason why 4 is very important is that the state of Wisconsin has a law. It's a law that I cannot break as a fire chief, and my command staff cannot break under my authority. It's called 2 in, 2 out. So if your house is on fire, for me to send 2 people into that house, which is the minimum I can send into that house, I have to have 2 people outside. So if something goes haywire, those 2 people become the rapid intervention team and go pull their buddies out, okay? That's why operating a fire station with 3 people is really futile, because they get there, they can look in the windows, they can maybe spray some water in through the windows, but if you have a loved one that is trapped, putting them in a bad spot. Okay, there's a caveat there that if it's a known rescue, you can violate 2 in, 2 out. Well, if no one's standing in the front yard telling me that my son or daughter is upstairs, it's not a known rescue and they can't violate it. So we did, was it 2 years ago, Ed? We did up at our station 45, when this was all, I mean, there was a
In Neshota.
there was a ton of dialogue on, chief, why do you need 3 versus 4, and so on and so forth, and where are you at with that whole thing, and why does this really matter? We did a show and tell as part of our budget process, and it was on the news. You can go and look at it. TMJ4 was there, Channel 6 was there. There's a lot of news stories on it. And basically, we showed the difference between what 3 people showing up to a call is versus 4. At Neshota, at our fire station, Neshota, we have a training house built inside of the fire station. It's where our crews train most of the time. So there's a physical house inside of there, and the house, so the crew gets there. There's smoke coming out of this house, and it's a crew of 3, and they have to wait outside. Okay?
Pretty impactful.
It's not done to be dramatic. It's done that this is the reality of the decisions that we make. With decisions that are made all the time, and it's our job to educate and say we respect those decisions, but on the same token that this is what you need to know. We also did that same scenario with a person having a medical event in the upstairs of our fire station. We simulated it as a bedroom or something like that. And the difference between having 2, 3, and 4 people on that scene.
It's night and day. It's night and day.
Outside and getting you to the hospital exponentially faster. So that's how our board really landed at 3. I mean, that was, or I'm sorry, 4 people in the station.
I was gonna say, you
Yeah,
did 3?
no. That's how the board landed at 4.
Okay. And then besides the ones that are not staffed, are the other, places?
So, and that's kind of, I think, one of the beautiful part about being in this partnership is that every community is choosing to fund it in different mechanisms.
Okay.
Okay? And I have, of our 7 partner communities, the city of Delafield went to referendum to do a fire fee, right? They asked their citizens, They proved, we had to help them, and we showed the need on what's going on, and we showed the cost structure on it, and their citizens chose by an overwhelming, like 70% margin, which is unheard of in referendums, to go to the fire fee. And
And a fire fee is just like our garbage fee, so it's just a separate line item on your tax bill that says fire fee, and then the dollar amount is whatever the dollar amount is to fund Lake Country Fire and Rescue without asking the taxpayers. Well, it does things. It takes it off the levy. It makes your tax levy look a lot smaller than it really is because you got a fire fee. But then it also takes the voice of the public and the taxpayer out of the equation also.
So they voted once for the referendum for the fire fee. That fire fee will now be there in perpetuity and adjustable to fill whatever need is there, right? It's, so, I mean, I was, I'm not myself alone, but this board in general, we were very not interested in going down the fire fee path because
It's being challenged in courts.
So they can just change that fee whenever they.
Yes.
and that's along the lines of, it's like registering your car isn't, hey, you're just paying a fee. It's like, no, that's a tax, right? That's just another hidden tax. And, you add another, oh, here's the fire fee line item. It's like, well, that's a tax. And now who is given the taxing authority to actually determine that amount? And once you've given that up and taken this fire fee, it's like, well, now we just get to say, yep, well, we need that money. So here's the fee number now. And I am, again, the majority of the board, we're very not interested in going down that path. We want to have it in the hands of citizenry to be able to say, yes, I am, that is value to me, right? Wherever your house assessment fits in on that chart, right? I guarantee you that, 364 days of the year, you're not going to be thinking about like the 121 or the 142 or the $88 or wherever you land on that. But if you haven't called 911 for a loved one and you haven't waited, right, and you haven't stood there and waited for however long it takes for them to get you there, I guarantee you when they get there as soon as they can, you'll be happy that you spent the $10 a month for a faster 4 minutes, right? That's the difference potentially between someone alive or dead. It's
priceless.
value add that I hope none of you have to experience, but if you do, I think you'll find it a valuable couple dollars a month.
So what's the plan if it doesn't pass?
If it doesn't pass, then everything that isn't,
Critical.
critical or, mandated, I mean, public safety is obviously very important to me as the chairman. But, everything else is on the table, plowing the roads, fixing the potholes. I mean, when I got elected to this board, we were, pretty far behind as far as, maintaining our roads and fixing our roads, and we're slowly but surely trying to get caught up. And, we definitely would, I would take a back seat to, paying for public safety. And, we got our law enforcement in the back too. I mean, we got a 5-day-a-week contract with them. And that, I mean, everything would be on the table to, because, with the signing of the new intermunicipal agreement with Lake Country Fire and Rescue, we've committed to, ensuring that the staffing plan gets implemented. So we've committed to these dollars, and everything else is on the table. And like I said, by 2030, it's going to eat up 94% of the budget. So doing the budget's going to be pretty easy. I mean, there's going to be a lot of cuts. So, and we have one of the lowest mill rates in Waukesha County, and the other communities that have a lower mill rate, they all have fire fees. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. I mean, we're still got one of the lowest tax rates in Waukesha County. So we've been good stewards of the taxpayer dollar.
Chad?
I think it's worth sharing too that, so we are the third lowest tax rate in Waukesha County. But the other two that are lower than us have the fire fee. So theirs are kind of generically lower than us.
Sure.
So you had mentioned that you had talked to the legislators and they said go to referendum. What could the state do if you guys had your way to take some of this burden off property taxpayers, take it off your plate, and we're sitting on a $2.5 billion surplus still. Like what are some of the things that the state could do to help you guys address this issue?
Could help with shared revenue, help bring, more of that money back to the communities to pay for, things like public safety, and roads. That's really what we ask the state for help with when we go and lobby the state is, we need help paying for, fire, EMS, and, law enforcement, and, we need money to help fix our roads.
I don't believe they've made changes to the shared revenue formula for like decades. I don't quote me on it exactly, but it's been a long time, and that's been a it's certainly a topic surfacing as more fire chiefs around the state have brought their concerns to the representatives. But I have not heard of anything that's imminent, pending.
Well, or they could just give us a little bit more flexibility in, this levy limit. I understand why it came about, but, it really handcuffs a community to be able to, pay for some of these very important, critical services. In the town of Delafield, we deliver services that are very important to our residents. We fund our fire department. We contract with the sheriff's department. We plow our roads and we fix our roads, and we pass through to collect our garbage. We're not doing a lot of other things to our taxpayers. We're doing the things that our taxpayers are asking us to do.
Thank you.
Sorry, was I interrupting you?
No, I was going to sit down and let you guys. I was getting good answers. So I thought
this chart. So, and to answer your question, right? So when this whole thing kind of first kicked off, 2021-ish, I went and had a sit-down meeting with a state legislator, the senator for this area. Just call it what it is, okay? And I prepared a very nice 6 or 7 page document outlining the cause, outlining the problem, outlining potential solutions, okay? I put my nice costume on and my suit, and my shiny stuff, and I went and I was very proud to go and have my time with that legislator. And I put together a packet of paperwork that is part of what is on our staffing page of our website, okay? And I had a 10:15 meeting with this person in Sussex at a coffee shop. At 10:45, a runner showed up, which is one of the staffers, sat down and sat down with me and said, "I'm sorry, the senator's running a little bit late." I got 4 minutes with that gentleman. And at that time, probably 2.5 days worth of work and data mining and doing things like that to outline the need. Here's what's going on. This isn't a Lake Country problem. This is a statewide problem, so on, so on, and so forth. I can all but assure you that the packet of paperwork that I spent time on, which is my job, I'm not complaining about it, never got read. The answer I got was you need to go to referendum, period. So why I had Michelle bring this chart up is that these individuals, as your town body and Michelle as your town administrator, the playbook that they have to follow when they go to referendum is extremely strict. They can't ask you for next year, correct me if I'm wrong on this, they cannot ask you that next year we only need this, and the year after we're going to need Y, and the year after we're going to need Z. That's not allowed, right? So to your point, sir, of why are you asking for 450 this year and then da-da-da-da-da, that's because that's the math that the state gave them. So they're going to ask for a little bit more in year 1, and then there's going to be probably year 2.5 or so, I'm right? It'll neutralize, and then the excess, the extra that you had in year 1, the savings, will go to pay for year 4. But that's not their fault. That is the fault of the broken system of levy limits. I'm just gonna call it what it is. You know, you have, I mean, there's communities from Salem to Wapaka. There's fire departments up north that are 2 days away from closing their doors and handing the keys back to their communities because they're private companies and they have no money. Right? Up north, if you're in the, you know, that area, 45-minute response times are the norm for EMS incidents. That's where you choose to live and that's the known risk you're willing to take, sure, but I mean, that's the norm. That's not the standard that the people that, you know, we work for traditionally want. So, yeah, I mean, sorry for getting on my soapbox about it, but to your point about why is the state sitting on $2 billion, I sit on the State Fire Chiefs Board of Directors. On my second term of the State Fire Chiefs, we have a lobbyist, we work with legislatures, we work at the state level to protect and do the best things for our communities that we can. This is a top priority moving forward, and they're finally starting to realize it, because kind of some of what's happening at Lake Country is happening all across the state, where departments are consolidating. Communities are saying this is way too expensive to do it on our own. We need to team up, right? Since the inception of LCFR in 2010, we've gotten rid of 9 pumper trucks. If we were to replace those 9 pumper trucks today, it'd be to the tune of about $10 million. Okay, the pumper trucks are like $1.2 million a piece. Okay, that's what we've gotten rid of in consolidation, and that's what we're teaming up on to share the people. Okay, but so I think you're going to see some things finally start. It seems like we have a little bit of traction at the state. We've asked them to allow us to do fire districts, which would solve this. Right now, across the LCFR 7, there's 7 different mill rates that are charged to pay for LCFR. It seems to me to make sense that if I'm living on this side of the street in the town of Delafield and you're living on that side of the street in the city of Delafield and we have the same size house, we should probably pay something close to similar. Call me crazy, right? But that's the broken system that we're working and operating in. So sorry, thanks for letting me soapbox, but hopefully that helps what you're saying. Yeah.
Anybody else have any more other questions they'd like?
They're back there.
He's gonna send me to jail. I have a question. What happens after 2030?
After 2030, we're back to state levy limits or whatever the system is after 2030.
So you can kind of guarantee that that's not gonna jump up and things are gonna go haywire and here we go again?
Can't guarantee anything.
I mean, there are no guarantees in life. I mean, but the hope is that
That's what I'm saying.
That-
There's
the whole-
really no guarantee.
there is no guarantee, unfortunately. I mean, the hope is though that, you know, we get the staffing and that line flattens out, and that's the hope of the 7 communities is let's get the people in there, let's get the staffing, and let's you know, get the people in there, and you know, let's continue to work with our friends in Madison to try to fix this broken system so that we don't, you know, have referendum fatigue. But as the chief said, you go and talk to our legislators from Lake Country area, and they say, you know, go to referendum. That's your option. You know, we have levy limits, but if you want to exceed them, go to referendum. Ask your taxpayers.
Well, and the hope there too is if you get to the levy limit and it catches up, right now there's no additional spending for a referendum. I'll bet you a donut that the fire fees in the other communities will still be there, right? So,
Right.
like that's the
Yeah. I mean,
That's-
our garbage fee goes up every year.
right. So
Along with
you know,
your cable bill and your electric bill and everything else. I mean, there's,
So then how many people, because I'm right down the road here, how many people when they're you say brownouts, how many times does this place have a brownout?
it hasn't been brown out in over a year, but, you know,
Okay, so I heard 50%.
yeah, last May, this station was closed 50% of the days.
Okay.
So it was 50% of the time, this station, when you call 911, was not responding to calls.
Okay, and now?
Now it's, you know, they've figured out, you know, between the part-time people and the full-time people, how to make it work, but
Okay.
that's with the guidance that we're going to hire people. And it's still a very fragile system because somebody gets sick, somebody goes on military leave, somebody gets hurt on a call. It's still very thin. I mean, that's why we got to build out the full staffing plan. so that we have backup and, we're able to make sure that we don't have brownouts.
Right, I was just concerned because you said 50% was brownout, and I didn't know what it was now, if that had improved at all or
We're-
anything. Based on
The
part-time?
chief's keeping the stations open the best he can, but, it's a very fragile system right now.
No, because we used it last year with my husband, and they were really good and fast. So I have no problems. I was just concerned with the brownout type of thing.
One thing that gets confused often is yes, to the chairman's point, we have not browned out in over a year now, and we're very proud of that.
Okay.
We still routinely operate stations with 3 people in them.
People.
So I forgot, you had the question before about, well, what's the difference between 3 and 4? When we're running stations with 3 people in them, it means that if we get to your house and it's on fire, I can't go in.
Right,
So
okay.
that's the delta to get to the 4th. And really, if you look at the way it is, 3 people next year, 3 people, those 9 people are what fully builds that out.
Okay, yeah, I was just concerned about the brownout thing. I was like, wait.
And there's also, which has not been addressed tonight, but has been in several of the other meetings too. I mean, there is capacity to hiring. There is a substantial cost to hiring, right? I think you said you guys max, could hire 2 at a time, right? Is it 2 at a time, 3 at a time? I mean, it's between the training time and the cost and everything. I mean, there is when you have everyone staffed and in place too, you're going to kind of plateau some of the fees and expenses of bringing on new people.
Yeah, and so I'll say there was 1 year where we hired 6 that year, and the next year we hired 7. And looking at it, we did what we had to do to help stop the brownouts, to the chairman's point. I think our realistic capacity to turn out rock star employees is somewhere between 3 and 5, which is why I'm comfortable, and then the board is comfortable doing the 3 a year. I think it helps slow everything down. But also what I'm doing is we're developing and maintaining rock star employees for you all. Okay, because I think when we get to the 5th and 6th employee of that hiring batch, they're probably not the rock star AB candidate. It's like the NFL draft, right? You only get number 1 draft picks. So
And this is just for EMTs and.
correct. And I'm very happy to report that there is a national recruiting problem. There's a statewide recruiting problem in the state of Wisconsin, and departments in the Milwaukee County area are getting 4 and 5 and 6 applicants to be in their hiring processes. And of those 4 to 6 applicants, maybe 2 of them are qualified. We are in the middle of a hiring process right now. We had 52 applicants for our organization. We do a joint hiring process with our friends to the west of us. And that's the power of what these bodies have done, and the culture and everything under the sun. If you look at it, this is a great organization to work for. Granted, I'm biased in the chief, right? But we have special teams. We have TEMS teams that work with our friends in law enforcement. We have dive rescue teams that help the water areas. We have a drone program that helps wide area search and thermal imaging and just all sorts of things like that. People want to work in Lake Country. The same reason that you all choose to live here. This is an amazing place to live and work. It's an amazing place to raise your family. Great schools, everything under the sun. So we're proud that we're becoming a destination, and we want to keep it that way. So, but it's thanks to the communities and the boards and the elected officials for their support, because when we were in the middle of all the IMA things, it was bad.
But my question is, this has been very informative. First, when I saw it, I thought, what? So how do you get this same information out there, like this meeting, unfortunately, to people who
You need to talk to your friends and neighbors.
You can share this YouTube video.
Your job.
Well, so
Actually, as a town board member, we cannot
Advocate.
for or against.
like I was saying earlier, they are set a very strict set of rules that's put forth from the legislature. They cannot campaign in favor of this. They can provide you with the facts. I have a little bit different thing. I can. But to your point, sir, the town of Delafield is a rural residential community, right? That's why you all live here, right? You love that atmosphere, right? It's hard for them to help get the word out when there isn't a block party to go to. There isn't, there's not farmers markets where we can set up shop and educate people and things like that. Sorry, maybe we're gonna start a farmer's market now. Like, that's where we struggle.
The
with it.
parking lot in the park?
When we, part of the reason why we did very well in the city that year is that the city of Delafield has the block party, and we were out giving information at the block party. The city of Delafield has the downtown Delafield trick or treat, right? If you've ever been downtown Delafield, we were out giving information there. So for 9 months beforehand, people had all this information in their hands. We just don't have that. Unfortunately, this year too, if you're a lake person or a Pewaukee Yacht Club person, everyone knows that the Pewaukee Yacht Club isn't open yet. Otherwise, we could potentially have at least some information out there. But that's where we really struggle, and that's why when the chairman came to myself, we set these 2 days up. And the chairman also asked that we, on Thursday night, we have an open house upstairs where it's a little bit less formal. Bring your kids if you got to ask questions.
Starts at 6.
Starts at 6 o'clock. So, and it'll go till we're done. I didn't put an end time on
I know,
it.
but I guess the paper got it wrong.
Yeah, but that's where we do struggle is how do you get this word out?
Well, I think one of the other problems is with the school.
And to their credit, there's other communities in Waukesha County, there's other communities across the state that love to bolt on fees, or not fees, but it's a public safety referendum, it's going to police, it's going to the fire department, so on and so forth. But we're gonna put this little thing here and maybe a library clerk here and a DPW guy there, and it's kind of like the sprinkling and the jimmies on the Sunday, right? All of this money that they're talking about is going directly to fire and EMS protection. Kathy?
Make a comment?
Sure.
I appreciate you telling us where to get the correct numbers. I know, Googling the numbers, I realize that that's not accurate, but I didn't know where to get the right one.
Yeah, you call me. I'm happy to sit down and have a cup of coffee with you, and I'm probably doing it like 3 or 4 times a week right now.
Even if I got on the Lake Country Fire,
Yeah.
whatever, I wouldn't have known to go to.
That's really thanks to these folks, because they're the ones that have just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed.
Yeah, so tell your friends and neighbors to go to the transparency, go to the staffing, read the chief's information about the fire referendum. Town website has got all the information about the referendum there. We don't like to ask you guys for more money, but I feel it's very important for fire and EMS, because when you call 911, you want people to show up, and we're not adding a lot of extra stuff. Our budget there's no fluff in the town budget, so please share the information. I appreciate everybody coming tonight. Do you have another question, or go for it?
Been in the town for quite a bit.
Can you come to the microphone so that our friends on YouTube can hear you?
Oh, man, really?
Oh, yeah.
I've been in this town for a long time, and I'm used to volunteer firefighters. I mean, our firefighters, when it was an all-volunteer force, they were awesome. Even though the fire truck would have to stop in front of Lloyd's every once in a while, let the firefighters on the truck to go fight a fire, but they were always there and on time. The thing is what happened to most of our volunteers, and why aren't they in service? Because they were a great asset to the community. When my mom had issues, she knew some of the people that were still on the fire department. It makes the person a lot more at ease. I know full-time, I get it, it's a stressful job, all that stuff. But when they have someone there that they know, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it is a big deal, and our volunteers were rock stars. you know, some of them aged out and some of them, you know, just decided to do other things.
Is there any way that you guys are gonna run something to get volunteers? Because there's a lot of people that don't wanna be full-time, but they like the part-time position.
Well, I think it comes down to, you know, the training requirements and, you know, I think, you know, opportunities like the open house and to really get to know the new crew of the Lake Country Fire and Rescue. I mean, they're just as great as the volunteers that we had. But, you know, we just need opportunities to go out and get into the community and do public service so that we can get to know these people so that when they do come to a call, you have that comfort level. I agree. I mean, I knew a lot of those volunteers. They're great people.
And also, this was years ago, so probably Chief Fenning is better to respond to this than myself, but I do recall that just that type of program and format is just going by the wayside, not because that the communities don't want to have it, it's because you're not getting the participation in it as it was before. And so then when you're not having the participation, you don't have the ability to count on the quantity of paid on call that they're looking for. If I'm correct in saying that, Chief Fenning, correct?
Yeah, and so since 2021, I mean, we have an open process. If you want to be a part-time paid on call person that you live in the communities, we will gladly take you. I put my number on the board. Give us a call today. But those since 2021, we have not had a single town of Delafield resident that has come to the fire department and said, I want to be a paid on call person. You know, and I think if you follow any civic organization, the Lions Club, Kiwanis Club, people like that, they're all struggling to find volunteers that want to do the civic duty.
We can't even find poll workers to
Right.
work the elections.
That's one day.
Yeah.
The requirements for you to now be an emergency medical technician are over 400 hours of initial training. The requirements for you to be a firefighter one, which is, so for you to, we need you to have both of those two things, because I think to somebody's point earlier, we want to be the most cost effective we can, and to have you cross-trained is that it's about 1.5 years of your time, plus, really it's about 1,200 hours of training. And then the continuing training that you need to do, it equates to about 12 hours of training a month. So for people to stay current in that, it becomes very, very hard. And where we really saw them is they would kind of come in their early 20s, and they would really come in if their mom or dad was on the fire department because they wanted, that was the culture, right? And that their family grew up in that civic culture. And we would get them, and they would be gung-ho when they're 18. That was me, right? And then what would happen is life happens. So, you know, they're in their early 20s, they meet a significant other, they decide to start to have a family. I don't know if any of you have young children that travel for sports, but God almighty. And then all of a sudden it's, well, I don't have the time to give back to my community for $14, $18 an hour. So then we said, okay, well, will you do it for 25? And even that wasn't enough, right? So it's, if we could put a sign out front right now and I could get 30 volunteers to come and solve this problem, we're not talking. But it's just the way, and like I was trying to say earlier, this is from Salem, Wisconsin to Wapaka. It's happening all over the place.
So that's what we ask of you, our residents, in addition to sharing about this, you know, the video and, I mean, listening to the meeting, where to find the information, is to encourage volunteerism. You heard it, we need it everywhere, whether it's poll workers, whether it's the fire department, LCFR. You're here, spread the word. You know, just, you know, reach out to us or even reach out to your local Lions Club. We need volunteers back in our community.
It's a generational thing, unfortunately, so
Terry, if I could just jump in and, like I said, I'll talk till 10 o'clock and they don't want me to do that.
not really.
Yeah. If you go back to, oh, you're here for the meeting too. If you go back to, right, Lake Country Fire Rescue started in the year 2000, right? And it started when the village of Neshota and village of Shaniqua got together. At the time, the village of Neshota had people. The village of Shaniqua was mainly staffed by the caretakers that lived in the estates on the Shaniqua properties, okay? Part of their job duties from their bosses were that they had to be on the fire department. Well, early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, all of those caretaker responsibilities shifted into a landscaping company, a pier company to take the piers out, and so on and so forth. And those caretakers went away. When the caretakers went away, there was nobody to staff the Shaniqua Volunteer Fire Department. So they got together with Neshota, who had volunteers at the time, and they formed Lake Country Fire Department. Fast forward about 10 years, and Shota is starting to run into people problems. So they joined forces with the city of Delafield at the time, because the city of Delafield had a paramedic service, because they had some full-time people, but they weren't completely career yet. So they formed LCFR in 2010, okay? Fast forward about 10 years to when Chief Kozlowski and Chief Moon contacted me, said, we're starting to see our volunteer numbers dwindle. Help with this situation. 2021, when we launched LCFR 7, is what it's kind of affectionately called, we added an additional 9 full-time people to our full-time roster as part of the merger. So with that, we were supposed to have 6 paid-on-call part-time people during the day and 6 career people during the day. Still at the 12, which is where we're at, where we're going to get to at the finish line here. And we did it without raising any costs. Every community saved a little bit of money. How we did it is we cut all the, well, the town doesn't need a software program, and Wales doesn't need a software program. You don't need this apparatus, you don't need that apparatus. All those redundancies were cut way out of it then. We added the people into it to try to make it what it was. And even at that, it not to be, but it was the catalyst of what happened in 2021 was the chief at the time, Kozlowski, the chief in Wales at the time. I'll never forget Jim Moon, who was a mentor of mine and a friend for a very long time. He says, I'm not going to be the captain of the Titanic. Like, look at the pictures on the walls, because every year or every month I'm taking 2 or 3 pictures off the wall, which was their membership, and I'm maybe adding 1 every 3 months. That's the problem. I'll be quiet. Oh, Kathy works for her clients, right, Kat?
Sure.
Okay. Regardless of the funding and where the money's coming from or what have you, is where are the services being provided? I mean, is the town of Delafield a drag on the overall? Where are the services in the overall? I mean, how does it break down? You must have statistics on who's getting a disproportionate amount of services. Is it the town of Delafield? Is it the city? Is it?
Right there. That's
Okay.
where the response data every month.
So is the town of Delafield being asked to do something that's disproportionate to our population or our risk?
No, because with a new funding formula, we're only responsible for 24% of that, and that.
So we're 24% of the risk.
We're 24% of the entire LCFR operation, and that
That's
20.
not what I'm asking. I'm asking what's the risk, right? The homes are relatively speaking newer, what have you, up to certain codes, what have you. It
What are
doesn't
you
matter.
defining risk as?
Well, risk is, I mean, what the incidence of services needed. I mean, I'm not talking about EMT. I'm actually talking about fire.
Well, this is,
Well,
this is,
fire is a little less likely. You're less likely to have a fire call than you are to have a medical call.
Right. So even with the EMT side or the medical call on that side, are we a drag as the town of Delafield or so?
we make up 22% of the calls approximately.
At least for this month.
And we're spending about 22%.
Yes.
We're paying our fair share on that front.
Yes.
And if this referendum goes through, we'll be paying a disproportionate more, or, I'm just asking, I
No,
don't know.
no. So this referendum is for us to continue to pay our 24% of Lake Country Fire and Rescue. But as we add the 3 staff for the next several years, the cost of Lake Country Fire and Rescue is going to get more expensive.
And you're gonna have to come back to referendum because that's just a requirement.
Well,
by the
faster
state.
than it's gonna get more expensive faster than the levy limit will allow for us to bill it.
Okay, and the stations that are manned right now, that's Wales and the city?
And this station,
But not,
this station.
Oh, okay, here, okay.
but the goal is to get every station to 4. And right now, to not have,
Will this do that? I mean, in other words, I'm not saying I'm not an advocate for it, I'm just kind of questioning, it seems like a reasonable request, actually. Okay,
I would agree.
okay, all right, thanks.
So if it doesn't pass, what happens?
Go to that last slide. If it doesn't pass, we're still subject to state levy limits. As I said, we have to review our budget, and, everything's on the table. But we're committed to funding Lake Country Fire and Rescue with the IMA that we signed. So everything else besides Lake Country Fire and Rescue is on the
Things that
table.
are no longer contractual obligations are gonna be, well, I have to have a second look. right? We're not contractually obligated to continue. We have a plan to stay on the, like, road repairs and maintaining them, and like, that would have to either be thinned or deferred, or, I mean, there's a good place to start, would probably be the first thing that's not the biggest, but I mean, it's one of the biggest things we spend money on.
Well, we have the most control over it because it's year to year. We are
control.
in a contract with Waukesha County Sheriff. We are in a contract for garbage. We are in a contract for most of these things. And even the garbage, it's a pass-through fee. So I had somebody send me an email just saying, can't we take the savings from the garbage and put it towards fire? We can't do that. Anything we collect for garbage has to go to garbage. So.
But it's things like roads and building maintenance. I mean, it's going to put us, that's it up here in a difficult situation to try to figure out, you know, where to find the money. Just like, you know, your own personal household, you know, when the dollars get tight, you know, you got to figure out what you got to do. So, and you can only cinch that belt so tight. So.
Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Was it
Thanks, everybody.
everything?
Go talk to your friends and neighbors. Share the information,
Please
please.
do.
Pass it
Thank you
along.
for coming.
Are you calling that closed at 7:51?
Yeah, I'm closing the information
Okay.
session at 7:50. I'll give everybody like 2 minutes if they want to leave, but keep your conversations in the hallways to a minimum, because we're going to start the town board meeting here in about a minute or two.
Your conversations will end up on YouTube.
And so will my laugh. Is there any bottled water in the fridge I could steal? Thank you.
There's cups in that.
Is there? Oh,
There's the cups next to that water.
I just filled up the bottled water in there.
More of the 2 or 3 people that were like at the last.
I know, yeah. We're gonna.
Yeah, we'll breeze through it. We're good.
Wonderful. How are you? Always. Nightmares are dreams too, right? Especially, I was just saying, especially in the town of Delafield, you're like finding people in the age group to Delafield.
I hate to rush things, but I would
Yeah.
like to
Yeah, we're
get
going.
started. Thank you. I have family in town, so I need to tend to them.
Yeah.
If anybody would like to make a motion, take the opportunity. I would really appreciate
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Are we ready, Michelle?
I'm ready. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to call the town board meeting to order. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you please call the roll.
Supervisor Mahoney Ogden.
Present.
Supervisor Miller.
Present.
Supervisor Wolfley.
Present.
Supervisor Berkowitz is absent. Chairman Kranick.
Present.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, this community lost a great leader several weeks ago. I'd like to take a moment of silence for Paul Farrow. Paul Farrow and I were elected at the same time he became county executive in 25. I took my first seat as supervisor in 2015 also. So I'd like to just take a moment of silence for Paul Farrow. Thank you. Citizens' comments, public comments from citizens on or not on the agenda. Board may not engage in discussions with the citizens making the comments. Individual presentations are limited to 3 minutes, and citizens shall follow the rules set forth in section 2.041 paren D of the town code. Any citizens' comments? No citizens' comments. Okay. I would look for a motion to take items 9C and 9E out of order, please. The yacht club and the sanitary district.
Motion to take 9C and 9E, you said?
Yeah.
9E out of order.
I second.
Motion is second to take 9C and 9E out of order. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. We're going to move to 9E, new business, consideration of the Pewaukee Yacht Club retail liquor license renewal for July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. Administrator Lutke.
Yes, so the yacht club had obviously gone under construction, and we had received information from the state indicating that they do not wish us to issue a liquor license to some place that doesn't have a brick and mortar, that they can attach the records and the selling and the storage of the alcohol. We did inform the state that we would be issuing the liquor license to the Pewaukee Yacht Club at the time that the report was due, earlier in July here. And I'm of the understanding that our building inspector will be completing his final occupancy approval this week. I'm told Thursday is the day. So the item is on our agenda for this evening. I'm hoping that you approve it with the understanding that Mike Hadley, our inspector, has indicated that he doesn't foresee any issues coming from the final inspection, and he's planning on issuing final occupancy Thursday.
So would the motion be a approval dated Thursday? Or
You can
do
just
they-
approve it today.
Okay.
By the time I
Motioning
issue
to-
it, it'll be Thursday.
Okay, so they just need it to be,
Yeah.
okay.
She's just explaining why this
Yeah,
was
yeah.
taken out.
No, I
That's
get
why we
it.
didn't do it in June.
I just-
That's the only issues we have foresee.
We were waiting on one piece of plumbing to be put in, and that, from what I understand, was put in on Friday. So it is, to my knowledge, done. It just needs Mike's walkthrough, and he has not had a problem in any of the other inspections in the building thus far. So,
I motion to approve
Second.
the liquor license, subject to final inspection.
I second.
Second.
Motion is second on the table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Motion passes 4-0.
Problem.
You're welcome.
Not a problem. 9E, next item is going to be the consideration of a Lake Pewaukee Sanitary District Commissioner to fill a vacancy for a term ending in April 2027. Unfortunately, Johnny Roof, longtime Sanitary District Commissioner, recently passed away. And as the town board, we have an opportunity to fill that role till the next election, which would be April 2027. I recommend that we appoint Paul Good Jr. to fill that role. I believe Paul Good Jr. is here if we have any questions for him or if he'd like to make a statement. But there's a lot of important things happening at the sanitary district, and I think it's important that they have a full bench to be able to continue doing their business.
if I can just add one piece to that.
Sure.
I know in the past when we've had something like this happen, we haven't done a resolution to indicate why we're doing this and all of that. I know this item is on the agenda without a resolution, but the board can direct me to write one with, reasons why and what it comes from and so forth, and include Paul Good's recommendation on there. Or you can just do it as it's written and do the recommendation without the explanation. Let me know what you'd like to do.
I would lean towards directing the staff or directing you, the administrator, to draft the resolution
Okay,
to formalize the appointment.
got it.
So we're motioning for staff to draft a resolution to formalize the appointment of Paul Good to the LPSD.
Nailed it. Are you the first?
That's, I'm motioning.
Excellent.
A second.
Motion is second to draft a resolution to memorialize appointing Paul Good to the LPSD through April 2027.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Right.
Yeah, motion.
You worded that,
right?
Yeah, I thought you got it.
Yeah, let's,
It was a two-piece. motion.
So
Yeah,
we're
so
drafting
let's-
the resolution to appoint him. Isn't that?
So we'll make a motion to appoint Paul Good Jr. immediately to fill the role of the LPSD. And then subsequently, we just pass the motion to draft the resolution.
So motion to appoint Paul Good Jr. to the LPSD.
Got it. Second?
Second.
Second.
Motion is second to appoint Paul Good Jr. to LPSD. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We appoint Paul Good Jr. to LPSD. Passes 4-0.
Thank you, Paul.
Bet.
Now back to the originally scheduled programming. Approval of the June 23rd, 2026 Town Board Minutes.
Motion to approve June 23rd, 2026 Town Board Minutes.
With the addition of adding a K under Chairman
Yeah, I
Craddock.
saw that. I already corrected it. Not in the
So,
packet.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion second on the table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Minutes are passed 4-0. Approval of vouchers. Look for a motion for accounts payable and payroll.
Yep, motion to approve payroll check register dated July 31st, 2026 in the amount of $20,180.22. Check register July 28th, 2026 for checks number 69647 through 69663 in the amount of $196,838.50. Payroll check register dated July 17th, 2026 in the amount of $16,190.86. Check register dated July 14th, 2026 in check number 69611 through 69646, amount of $189,543.98. And then payroll check register dated June 26th, 2026 in the amount of $17,671.56.
A second.
Motion second to approve accounts payable and payroll. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion passes 4-0. Communications included in our packet, the May 2026 assessor sales report, the sheriff's report, budget to actual report and a presentation on pyramid, shoreland pyramiding. If anybody has any questions on any of these things, please speak up. I'm just going to kind of go through here to move things along. Silvermail resurfacing updates, if any. They're working on installing the guard railing. I was on a project call this morning. They're going to be striping either the end of this week or early next week. WTA updates. We have our county unit meeting tomorrow night in the town of Mugwanago, and we're going to have Waukesha County Clerk Georgia Maxwell there to present.
I guess.
Do you want me to talk about the pyramiding a little bit?
Briefly.
Sure. So we are fortunate enough that our planner was a pyramiding expert and wrote this, the presentation that I included in here when she was a senior planner for the Waukesha County group. Ultimately, the pyramiding talks about providing access to the public body of water through a private property and how it's not allowed. If anybody in our community sees or observes anything where somebody's trying to rent out their pier, they can document the observed conditions and email pod@waukeshacounty.gov. And waukeshacounty.gov, or the POD, will determine if they have a conditional use permit to do it, whether it's a legal non-conforming use, whether they're in compliance with shoreland and floodland protection, and whether or not enforcement is warranted. pod@waukeshacounty.gov.
I just am saying it would have been nice to have heard that when we had LPSD and the PYC
still
people
probably-
here. Yeah, I know, I was actually, nice for them to have heard that.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, great to know.
Follow up
Thank you.
later and tell them. That was a good packet.
We'll put it on the agenda again, and maybe we can have Rebecca give a more lengthy presentation at some point.
I will ask her to do so. She'll have to revise it to put her new title on there.
Sure. Item 8A, unfinished business, consideration of a resolution regarding a request to the Public Service Commission to review power outages by We Energies in the town of Delafield.
So I think that you probably saw the newspaper that kind of talked a little bit about the PSC and what we were doing. We Energies had commented that the PSC had closed our original request. Although that's accurate, the PSC has informed me that they would like a resolution, which is in your packet tonight, and this resident signature sheet to go along with the resolution to reopen or open a new ticket for them to do the investigation like we were talking about last time. So I currently have 20 signatures on this sheet from residents that have just come into the town hall. I'm going to pass this around to you guys, and then if nobody's left, I'll still get another signature and then send the resolution, if it's passed tonight, and the signature sheet to the PSC to start their investigation of We Energies power outages in our area.
Do we need a motion to
I'd love a motion
we
for
need
the
a motion to
resolution.
adopt the resolution.
Yeah.
motion to adopt resolution regarding the request for the Public Service Commission to reopen the power outages by We Energies in the town of Delafield.
A second.
Thank you.
Motion and a second to adopt the resolution. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. That resolution is adopted 4-0. Next item, item 9A, discuss possible action on an amendment to condo decks by Northwest to address septic code compliance. Administrator Lukey.
I'm just going to give you a brief overview of this because the information is still ongoing. I was supposed to get more information to give you guys to make a determination, but from what I understand, Northwest received approval from Waukesha County for their septic system. There was some confusion on what the septic system means. They approved one tank when the condominium structure of Northwest indicated that every 2 units would share one tank. So there was a huge miscommunication on how many tanks there were going to be. Some of the condos have already been sold. The Northwest owner wanted the town to take over responsibility for failed septic tanks. If in the event the tank were to fail sometime in the future, I indicated that was not an option, that the taxpayers would not be responsible for somebody's development that was incorrectly approved by Waukesha County. So instead, they've decided to go a different route that would allow the town to put special assessments if in the event we would have to step in for septic failures, so that the assessments would go back on the condo owners and only the condo owners of Northwest. That's the document that I was waiting for but did not receive yet. I'm hoping that you table this and that we'll bring it back when they have documentation readily available for that.
I'd look from
Table the possible action and amendment for the declaration pages of the Northwest condo development.
second. Motion is second to table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Motion is tabled 4-0. 9B, consideration of a resolution temporarily designating the town hall as the sole polling place for the November 17th, 2026 special primary, if needed, and the December 15th, 2026 special election. This is related to the filling of the county executive position.
So state statute required that once the vacancy occurred, meaning Mr. Paul Farrow's passing, that within 7 days the county was to set a date for a special election. They would not be able to put it on the August, November, and they would not be able to wait until February, April. So the dates that were picked were November 17th, 2026 for the primary, which we are told there will be more than 2 people interested in this position. And then the election itself will be held on December 15th. All the dates for the election, the times for in-person absentee voting and so forth are available on our website. The expected turnout for this election is between 8 and 12%. So instead of funding both of the polling sites for this one contest, I'm asking the board to approve having the entire election here at the town hall. We'll be able to do it with 1/3 of the staff that we would normally hire. The county is agreeing to pay portions of this special election, but have not yet agreed to pay all of the cost for the special election. So I'm trying to keep costs at a bare minimum while still serving the residents.
Will there be any opportunity to early vote?
Yes. So early voting for the special primary, if we did what we normally do, would fall on the gubernatorial election day of November 3rd. So we would be having basically 2 elections at one time. So the county has determined that we would be able to do only 1 week of in-person absentee voting for both elections. So the week prior to these 2 election dates would be in-person absentee voting. That information is on our website. We will not be doing 2 full weeks for these 2 specials.
So we just need to motion
We
to
just
designate
need
the town hall.
Motion to draft a resolution.
Adopt the
to-
resolution.
Yeah.
Motion to adopt the resolution designating Town Hall as the sole polling place for the November 17th special primary and December 15th special election.
A second.
Thank you.
Motion second to adopt the resolution to designate the town hall as the polling place for this November 17th and December 15th special election. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Item 9D, discussion and possible action regarding snow removal from asphalt paths. I think we could maybe push this to the August meeting if we decide. 'cause
I'm good with that. There's no snow yet.
Yeah, I think this might be a lengthy discussion. So
Okay.
This might be a what?
A lengthier discussion than we're.
And in the
ready.
meantime, it gives us a chance to just do a little bit more due diligence on, okay.
Yep.
Just some of my questions. Sounds good. So we're just tabling?
Yes.
Motion to table?
I'll take a motion for that.
Motion to table,
Come on.
second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's tabled
Thank you.
4-0. Announcements, Town Association meeting tomorrow night, Fire Department open house on Thursday night, Plan Commission meeting on August 4th is canceled due to lack of business. There is a primary election in August on the 11th. Lake Country Fire and Rescue Board meeting on the 19th of August at the City of Delafield. Next scheduled Town Board regular meeting is Tuesday, August 25th at 6:30 PM. And tomorrow afternoon between 1 and 3, starting at 1 o'clock, there's going to be a meeting at the North Shore Middle School with representatives from the town of Delafield, Waukesha County, Village of Heartland, and the school district regarding safety of the North Shore Highway KE crosswalk there. So, anything else? I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
A second.
Motion is second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We're adjourned 4-0.
8:11.
Thank you.